Good morning. I am Columbia Daily Tribune City Editor Matt Sanders. With me is our county government reporter Brittany Roos. I finally have someone with me today for the first time this week. Woohoo! It's day 4 now of the Tribune's morning publication schedule. Hope that you're enjoying getting the paper in the morning. Today we had some really good stuff for you. Of course, we continue our poverty series. With a story about an issue that probably a lot of experts will say is one of the main areas where you see the effects of poverty most, and that is in healthcare. If you can't afford healthcare, your quality of life suffers significantly, and it also ends up costing all of us a lot of money. For instance, people who don't have health insurance will put off a problem until it's so bad they have to go to the emergency room. Then they can't pay the bill, that debt gets written off, which results in higher medical bills for the rest of us, on and on and on. Anyway, read the story if you want to hear a little bit more about that. Also, we broke this news yesterday on our website and had it bright and early this morning in the paper, the settlement in the wrongful death suit over the death of Lieutenant Bruce Britt, Columbia firefighter, in the walkway collapse a few years ago. Anyway, that's just a couple things in today's edition. Also in sports, Blake Topmeyer did a really interesting story about why Barry Odom's brother working for the football team does not violate the state's nepotism law. So check that out. A lot of people have been asking us about that. Brittany is here because she just got back from Jefferson City this morning where she was covering a Senate hearing, correct, on prescription drug monitoring, right?
Yeah, there's two state senators who proposed actually an identical bill to establish a prescription drug monitoring program in the state. And as if you've been following this issue, you know that Missouri is the only state in the country that doesn't have one of these prescription drug monitoring programs. So the legislation would establish one of those, and there was about, I would say, an hour-long testimony in support of it from different pharmacy, medical associations. Actually, a couple of Columbia residents were there to speak in support. They have their own personal stories with family members who have suffered from addiction. So a lot of support in favor of the legislation. No one spoke out against it. So,
Okay.
and Columbia is actually looking at joining on to the St. Louis County prescription drug monitoring program and establishing one, here in our city.
Yeah, so in the past, concerns by some, including a senator who is a doctor, he has been kind of the main opposition to establishing it. It's been killed in years past because of privacy concerns, basically. Senator Schaaf, who is from southwest Missouri, I believe.
He's from St. Joseph.
Oh, St. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, western Missouri, not southwestern. Anyway, so he has sort of led the opposition to it, saying, that it's putting people's information out there where it can be easily accessed by people who may not do the best things with it. But it looks like that's not really picking up much steam, at least yet, in this latest round. Maybe the tide has finally turned.
Yeah, the General Assembly is putting more momentum in the Senate version of the bill this year in hopes of getting that passed through earlier on in session and then moving it to the House where it has a lot of support.
Yeah. There is, I know Holly Rader down in Sykeston is one of the main supporters of it in the House.
Yeah, she testified on it today.
Yeah, she's had some personal experience with family members who had severe drug addictions. Of course, it's a health crisis right now, opioid addiction and what it's doing. So it's definitely an important issue. Tomorrow we also continue our series on poverty in Columbia. This time it's a look at affordable housing by Megan Favignano. So check that out. Megan is also, forgive me for that, Megan is also covering the University of Missouri Curators today, where of course they will be talking about budget issues. They are staring a massive budget crunch in the face right now because of state revenue being not what was expected. They'll be figuring out how they're going to deal with that budget-wise. And then Alan Birdziak was covering a hearing in the case of Montauk County prosecutor Shayne Healea, who you might remember is accused of backing his truck into Addison's restaurant a couple of years ago during homecoming down here in downtown Columbia, injuring some people in that crash and being drunk while he did it. He has, of course, denied that he was drunk while he did it. He admitted that he crashed, said he wasn't drunk, said that he didn't realize it and left the scene, and finally knew when somebody flagged him down. Anyway, so we'll have an update in that case. So you can always reach us via our social media accounts, Twitter and Facebook. And if you have questions or comments or just want to, let us know something in general, you can send us an email.